keeping up with history, I guess. I can appreciate this. I wish these were all over the city. As I understand it, these are called arcades. And while this building is obviously very new, there's a lot of old buildings in this area that also have these. And the primary reason for that was due to an expansion project, a widening of Burnside Street, which is this street right here that I'm walking along. And they widened it on the west side in downtown, which certainly is kind of gotten more attention over time. There's a lot more pictures of it. You hear a lot more about that history, but for the most part, the buildings on the west side, in order to expand and widen Burnside, they just hacked the fronts off of the buildings. And that project took place in the early 1930s, but a similar project happened on the east side, which is where I am now. I'm on the east side of Burnside, crossing Grand Avenue, as this is the area where some of the older arcades are. And in the instances of these buildings, instead of just hacking the front ends, sometimes literally hacking half of the building off, they removed kind of the front portion of the bottom floor and just had the buildings hang over the new sidewalks, because you think sidewalks are probably somewhere in here, but with the street widened, the sidewalks are now over here. So this was a way to keep these buildings from being obliterated, and they maintain a lot more of their historic integrity. So I'm now at Burnside and 6th, and this is the first of the buildings. As I understand it, there's 5 of these left. There were more back in the day, but as history goes, over time you lose buildings. So you see the building sticks out over the sidewalk, and you can just walk through under here. So this cool old building managed to avoid all of this getting demolished by just hacking off the front of the building. I wonder if this building looks like it might even be vacant, or at least part of it. And this is very practical in a place like Portland, where it rains a lot, to have these arcades here to keep you protected from the rain, because now I'm getting rained on. Oh, police are coming to get me. All right, so here we are at crossing 7th in Burnside, and we've got this big cool old building here. I wonder if this is all one building, or if they're like 2 buildings connected there, and this is just received better paint job. But I'm gonna cover the buildings that are on this side of the street and then come back probably and do the other side, because as you can see, there's a building here. There's this, I've always loved this building. The Orleans sign at the top, which also has an arcade at the base, and some cool signage. Oh, it's a Kelly's Olympian sign. That's cool. And I mean, this is newer. This certainly ain't old school ghost signage. But yeah, one of the things I love about these is also like I just love how they maintain all the cool old school vibes. Like, look at these lights hanging down. So they maintain a lot of you know, it wasn't just for the sake of saving a building. There's actually like some general appeal to having these here. They're very, very cool and rustic. That's one way to describe it. And yeah, there's just like a succession of businesses in this building, and these really cool light fixtures. Yeah, it looks like it is 2 buildings that have come together. I figure while I'm here, might as well cross the street. God, look at this entry. Because this is, I'm pretty sure, like a apartment building. Might have been a hotel at one point. I'm pretty sure it was just an apartment though. This has got the nicest fixtures of them all. And then trash cans. Yeah, this building is awesome. All of its facets. We resume. We're still moving west on Burnside Street. We're passing the Jupiter Hotel, which was once the Continental, which was fairly ritzy in its day, but became more known in its later years, especially during the 80s, as being kind of a place you don't want to be around. Lots of drugs, lots of bad stuff, lots of crime, and lots of murders. There was at least like 3 murders that I know of that are directly correlate to this hotel during the 80s. I think one of them's still unsolved too. But anyway, we're not here to be morbid, even though it's my norm, because I think there's still a couple more buildings up here. And yeah, I mean, I do appreciate to a degree the fact that some of these newer buildings are kind of taking on the arcade. I keep forgetting the term. So they keep taking on kind of the arcade vibes that the old buildings take on. So I have at least a degree of appreciation for that. Here's another, oh, this building's actually smaller than I thought it was gonna be. But this is another building that was altered. To allow us to just walk through, like so. This one's not as flashy, but it has its moments. And yeah, so there's one more up here, another block. Yeah, I love this building. It looks so beat to hell. In fact, its arcade is one of the most redeeming looking elements of it. I just realized this building has the U on it, the red U, which is a lot of times like a sign of death for a building. It means it's like the stability isn't great. It's for firefighters to know. That way they don't go into a building thinking everything's fine and then a floor gives out on them. They know ahead of time. So hopefully that doesn't mean this building's gonna go away soon. If it does, well, we'll be down to 4 buildings that still have this cool piece of architecture, remains from late 1920s alterations. We're talking alterations that happened almost 100 years ago. This isn't your run-of-the-mill 40, 50-year-old history. This is ancient. I mean, I guess ancient by the standards of how long I've been alive. Just crossed 10th and Burnside. Ooh, you think this trophy business is still? I don't know, there's something in there, but it's pretty tagged up. Okay, so I think this is the last one that's still standing, because this is the 5th one I've seen. So 4 of them are on this side of the street, and then 1 is on the north side of the street. So most of what's left are still on the south side of Burnside. And this one always got my attention even before I really knew what these were, because of the artwork. A lot of them are just kind of generally painted, but this one has a very strong hippo vibe, which I think is pretty cool. And you can really see kind of the aged state. And it's the same there, same down there. Oh my goodness. So they kept this one artistic. So this crossing street is 11th. That's kind of where the arcades as we know them end, and there's so much, like for blocks, it's just new construction. So it's mostly between Grand and 11th, like a 5-block stretch that you can still find buildings like this. And then like that one down there, I just kicked somebody's scooter. So I just want to get some views from this side of the street. Wider interpretations. I don't know why I'm calling them interpretations. It is what it is. And yeah, I love how beat to hell this building is. And here's one of the buildings I saw just a little bit earlier. It's still a really cool looking building. And of course, the Orleans, which is beautiful all the way around. So I hope you enjoyed that little excursion capturing a little piece of history that only exists in a few select spots. But as I understand it, there used to be as many as 10 buildings on that little stretch that had those arcades under their buildings, and I would, periodically go up and down Burnside there and see them, but not really think too much of it. I didn't really know until recently that there was an expansion of Burnside on the east side. I didn't even know that was a thing. So, of course, I didn't know that these arcades were associated with that. I just thought that was just some cool structural decision. I didn't realize it kind of became a necessity if people didn't want to lose a good chunk of their building, like what ultimately ended up happening a few years later when they were expanding on the opposite side of the river. So good on whoever's idea it was to do that, because it salvaged a lot of these buildings and they look cooler now for it. So all that said, thank you so much, all of you that chose to stop by, take in a little video today. If you're new to the channel, haven't gotten around to it, want to help my channel blossom, remember to like, share if you so choose, subscribe, help keep my channel growing. I also have a Patreon if you'd like to help me out that way. Makes my job a lot easier. The link to that is in the description with this video, as well as the links to my Instagram, Facebook, Reddit subreddit, my TikTok, all the good stuff. And all of that said, until next time, thanks for stopping by. This has been Steve, the Amateur Historian.